Hello and welcome to the Mortgage Minute. I am Ben Kaysen, your host here from Wake Up, here with Vern Larson from Advantage Home Mortgage, and of course, our new guest, Nick Nidey. Nick, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. And Vern, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Good to see you, Ben. Thanks for having us back.
Oh yeah, thank you guys so much for being on, as always. I mean, we've been doing a lot of talk whenever it comes to like the process of the home buying. Especially we talked last week about the mistakes you need to avoid whenever you're in the process.
Right. So knowledge is power, especially when you're buying homes. You want to make sure you're doing everything right. So far we've been through get pre-qualified, why that's important. We've gotten through credit, things you can do, some hacks, get that credit score up, get that best interest rate possible. And we went through a little bit of common mistakes people make when they're buying houses so that they don't, make those common mistakes. And so today I just thought it was kind of natural. The next person in the process is going to be your real estate agent or your realtor. And I've been working with Nick for several years. He's on one of the amazing teams over at Remax of Pueblo, the Team Gena Ryder team. They do a ton of transactions. He has a lot of experience. Great guy to work with, but also an expert. So he's going to go through some of the things. There's a lot of people involved in the transaction. It's not just your mortgage broker. You've got your realtor, appraiser, underwriter, homeowners insurance. There's a lot of people we're going to deal with during this transaction. It's not just one person. So we're going to interview Nick and get some things on why real estate professionals are important.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk about it, Nick. So
Absolutely.
We've been talking a lot. Oh, absolutely, man. We've been talking a lot about Vern's role as a mortgage broker. And so can you kind of explain to me like what the difference between a realtor and a mortgage broker is? Can you guys both maybe touch on that?
So your realtor is going to be the person who finds the house that you're looking for and shows you the houses, as where the mortgage broker is going to work more with your finances and getting you set up in order to buy a home.
Right. I am just there for your loan, just for your home loan. I'm your money man. Nick is going to be the person that can actually show you a home. So if you called me and said, hey, Vern, I want to go see this house on County Farm Road, I don't have the right license to do that. I would have to refer you to a real estate professional.
Right. So real estate agents, they're governed by DORA, and they have to have a license, and they have to do all the continuing education and kind of be in the know of different laws and stuff that are going on in Colorado, so that.
And I mean, if you're selling a house, you want a trusted person coming in your home. You don't want, just.
Absolutely. You want your own agent, and you want a good agent, someone that you mesh well with. Buying a home is probably one of the top 3 stressful things that a person can do. It's one of the biggest purchases that you have. So you definitely want someone looking out for your best interest and to interact with all of these people that we deal with in the transaction and kind of take the stress off you, and they should be able to handle it all if you get the right agent.
So you're kind of like the quarterback of the whole
I try
team.
to be.
Yeah. He's an all-star. Look at him, man.
That's super cool. I mean, let's talk about that process, right? So if I'm hypothetically buying a house, and I feel like, with the internet there, I'm like, I can find my own house. I don't need a realtor. What would
Everyone
you say
thinks
to me?
that it's easy to look on the internet. And, I think 90% of the people out there are looking at one of the major websites. It'd be the Zillows or something like that. What people don't understand is that a lot of the information that you get from those websites is not always as up to date as what I have or what's really going on in the market. They're going to take an average of everything that's out there, but there's actually, more than just what the internet says. And I kind of think that the internet's made it to where they want to buy your information and sell it to someone like myself or Vern to where they get the contact with you. But if you do your due diligence and you find a good agent, I think that they're going to do all that for you. And you're not going to get sucked into someone who's just buying your contact information in order to sell you a house.
And the agents have access to, it's called the MLS,
MLS, Multiple Listing Service.
Yes, the MLS, and nobody else has access to that.
Right. You have to be a licensed agent to have access to those things. And, my team and I, we're constantly looking at it, seeing what's new on the market, what's overpriced, what's underpriced. That way we can take our buyers out there and get them on, the houses that are whatever they're looking for. That's what your agent should do. After you get pre-qualified, you need to meet with a good agent and tell them your wants and needs in a house, so the agent can see what's on the market and really go out and find that house for you, and not just try stuffing you in something that's not going to fit.
So when a buyer is buying a house, Nick, what do you tell them is the first thing they should do?
Get pre-qualified.
All right. Yeah, that was a great answer.
Well, you need to get pre-qualified because your sins could be lost. Not your sins could be lost, but you don't know what your monthly payment's going to be. You don't know what you're going to need down. You don't know, all those things that Vern is definitely one of the best in the industry at. My team and I try and use Vern exclusively because he does such a great job, but it's a major step, and if you don't have the right person, there could be delays and a whole bunch of headache at the end of the transaction that you don't normally have when you have someone good working on it.
Can you guys break down just real simple? I know we've talked about it already, Vern, but what is pre-qualification?
Pre-qualification means that you've checked with the lender. We've probably looked at your income documentation. We have for sure pulled your credit.
Yeah.
So we know you're good to go. And we ran some ratios. So we ran some debt ratios. We've explored down payment, what you have, what you don't have. And we are able to give the real estate agent what you really need. Gotcha. So if you're buying this home, I only have $1,000. Hey, not a problem. Okay. We can do what's called, down payment assistance. We can get you in there with $1,000. But Nick, as your real estate agent, would need to know that because there are going to be closing costs on top of the $1,000 down that we cannot finance.
Right.
And so the seller can pay those. But if Nick doesn't know to write the contract correctly, then we're going to have issues later.
Not only that, but if I'm looking for a home that's going to be FHA or CHFA, I have to find a house that's going to take that type of loan. Not all homes will go FHA or CHFA. Not all homes will get a conventional loan. Some houses only take cash. So that's all information that having the right person finding you a house, they're not going to put you on a house that you can't buy.
And that's something you'd never find on the internet. No.
You have to be in the know, kind of in what you're looking for in order to find those things,
Yeah. So FHA, they do have a certain amount of livability and they're worried about safety concerns. So if your house has maybe some peeling and chipping paint where a little kid could go up there and peel some paint off and eat it, if that was an older home with lead-based paint, that is a real big safety hazard. If you've got a broken window, you stick your arm through there and you gash your arm open and have to get stitches. That's a real big issue. So those are things that FHA watches out for. And I'm not going to go in the house. I'm not going to see the house you're purchasing until your appraisal shows up. Okay, so gotcha. Nick here
I go through the houses, and I'm not an expert on the appraisal things, but I'm definitely going to tell you something if I see it. Be like, hey, this needs to be painted, or this needs a handrail on it. That way, down the road, when you get to the process of their appraiser, and the appraiser has to go back out there, who do you think's getting charged for that next appraisal? It's going to be the buyers, and another $125. It all adds up every time that appraiser goes back out there.
So, Nick, if I'm driving down the street and I see a sign in a yard and I really like the look of the house from the outside, I should just call that sign, right?
Well, I think that you should find your own agent first, but I would ask them about the house because, the agent who is selling the property a lot of times has already talked with the sellers of that property and given them all the statistics and everything to make the best sound decision. So if you go out and get your own agent, they're going to do the same for you and coach you up and basically give you the best decision that you can make so that you can know when you're getting a good deal on a house or know when you see the right house, and you're not just basically pushed into a transaction with the selling agent trying to get the home sold for her original client, which would be the sellers.
Gotcha. So she's not just advocating just for you, if you're going to call that, right?
Right. And, there's many transactions that I see where I do have both the buyer and the seller, and you have to remain neutral in the transaction. But most times when I have those transactions, I've already met with the buyer separately and the seller. I've been able to coach both of them up. The buyers have seen, multiple houses, so they know that they're walking into a good house when they actually get it.
That's great. So say I was someone that, hasn't bought a house before, but, I'm a smart guy. I know what I'm doing. If I was to say, hey, you know what? I can figure this out. The internet exists for a reason. I don't need a real estate broker or, a loan officer or anything to go through the process of buying a house. I can do it myself. What would you guys say to me?
I'd say good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Do you want to, you may know a whole bunch and be able to do a whole bunch of research, but I've been doing this, and I don't want to toot my own horn. I've been doing this a minute. I've been doing it 15 plus years. Yeah. Do you want to go against me who's been doing it 15 years and does multiple transactions every month? Or do you want to hire an expert who can get you the biggest advantage on, the next person and the next buyer behind you? Because in this market, with the lack of inventory that we have, there's always multiple offers on these properties. And in order to put your best foot forward, I think that you need to have someone coaching you, quarterbacking you in order to
knows
get
what they're doing, right?
Yeah, basically get your transaction or your deal looked at before the next person in line.
And I've been doing this for 23 years, and there's still things I learn almost on a daily basis, and things are ever changing. Like solar's a big thing, and the way they record solar and on title work and all that. So even if you think I've really got a handle on this and I know what I'm doing, there's going to be a weird scenario out there, especially like in that title world where there's some lien or mechanics lien or something weird against that house that you're not going to know about. If you have, professionals on your team, we're going to know. And if we don't know what it is, we ask,
there's houses without water. There's houses without all kinds of things that people don't even think of because it's an automatic. Every house has water. Every house may have water, but how does it get there? Are you on city water? Are you on a well?
Are you hauling your own?
Are you hauling your own? Are you on a cistern? You know what I'm saying? There's ins and outs of it that everyone takes for granted and thinks that they know, but to really give yourself the best opportunity and make the most of the buying experience, take all the pressure off of you, definitely you need to have an agent.
And so if I'm a buyer, Nick, how much money do I need to pay you up front for your services?
So buyers don't pay me anything. That's another common misconception. People think that, you have to pay a real estate agent. Most times I do get paid from the sale of a transaction, and the seller's paying those costs. Whoever's selling the house is paying their agent, and their agent is cooperating with another broker in order to sell that property.
Okay, so I don't need to stroke you a check right out of the gate.
No, if someone's trying to make you pay them to sell you a house, run. Don't walk, you need to run. Someone's just trying to get rich.
Just trying to get rich. That's interesting. So you're saying that, like, if I'm a buyer and I'm looking at the market, you're saying that, there's no downside then to picking up a realtor because I'm not having to pay up front.
Right. If you're looking to buy a house, there's no disadvantage of you to have an agent. Everyone, you get represented by someone who knows what they're doing, and they're going to be able to show you around and make the experience memorable on the good side, not for the bad things that happen.
And they're going to have information that's really going to help you, Ben. They're going to know how long this house has been on the market. So they're going to know days on market, which is huge. So in this market right now, if you have a house that's been on the market 293 days, there's
something wrong.
Yeah.
Last month, the statistic was the average days on market were 63 days on the market. Wow. There were like 238 houses sold, but there's only 200 in inventory right now. So those are all statistics that'll give you a better picture of what's going on in the market.
And then you're going to know, where you should be with that offer. And Nick's going to be able to tell you, hey, you love this house? Great. You really want it?
You better buy it. Well, it's overpriced this much. Those are the little things that I do. If you're looking at a house, I'm going to be able to tell you, oh, it's been on the market 200 days, and I know the average days on market last month were 63. There's something wrong with this house. It's either...
You might be able to negotiate with them, right?
Right. We might be able to negotiate. But if it just came on the market yesterday and there's 18 showings, your agent's going to know that and say, hey, if you want to buy this house, you better step up and buy it, and we got to do it fast because it's going to sell in the first 3, 4, 5 days.
And he's going to know how to make that offer look the very best, most appealing to that seller so that you get that house.
Gotcha. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, what does that process look like to make your offer more appealing to somebody?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can make your offer more appealing to a seller. You can go in and put more earnest money down. That makes it to where you're more tied to the contract and, you're showing you're interested more in it. You can write out certain dates that people don't think about a lot of times. You can write out an inspection to where you don't need an inspection. You can...
use Advantage Home Mortgage and close in 20 days.
There's another key to the whole picture that we deal with. If you're with the right people, you know that the deal's going to go smoothly. I know even as a seller's agent that if I'm working with a good agent or a good mortgage broker on the other side who knows what they're doing, the transaction's definitely going to go smoother. So it's not just for buyers, it's for sellers. I know that if Vern is doing the loan on the other end of the deal, that 9 times out of 10, we're going to close on time and we're not going to get conditions the last minute and have to go back into underwriting and wait 3 more days for a clear to close.
Okay, so that was part 1 of the Mortgage Minute, this episode with Nick Nidey, the Realtor. Thank you so much, Nick, again for coming in. Thank you so much for listening. We've got part 2 of this podcast coming out next week right here on the Mortgage Minute on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So check us out. Also check out the other episodes we've done already and check out Vern Larson and Nick Nidey here in Pueblo, both of them doing some really good things. Vern Larson, Advantage Home Mortgage, Nick Nidey with Remax of Pueblo. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.